2005, I think Pope at the time, Pope John Paul II, he actually visited Trinidad in 1985. He was a brilliant man. He was a brilliant mind. He was a real scholar. All his exams and so in Rome, in Vatican, he's the only person ever get perfect scores all the way through. Brilliant mind. He had done a study of the way civilization is today with some comparison to the past. And he came to the conclusion that we are no longer living in a culture promoting love and life, but we are living in a culture of death. That so much, too much of what is going on, and that has even worsened in the last 20 years. So much of what is life and is becomes normal and becomes everyday activity, everyday thinking is really about death. In other words, negative quality to human experience and human beings' lives. We are living in a culture of death. So I wanted to, this is just a beginning, this is just scratching the surface. So I wanted to delve a little bit into that, and it's the kind of topic that I hope you call in with your own ideas of where you are seeing the culture of death, because one of the most dangerous aspects about this culture, it is really invisible. If you are not trained to see, and if you are not deliberately trying to see and examining and questioning, you will never see how death is what is being pushed on human civilization. It's all about death, negativity, and not love and positivity. Okay, I remember when I was a secondary school teacher many years ago, I just stumbled across this, that at every point in time, there are about 300 wars taking place in the world. Who knows that? We hear about the most prominent ones, and now we are at a stage where even extremely prominent, and I say prominent, extremely terrible wars are talking about thousands and tens of thousands of people are dying in these wars, and we don't even hear about these wars. It is that bad. We're not even hearing about wars that are huge. And that 300 has certainly not gone down in those decades since I was a teacher. It has not gone down. Think about gun violence. It's a hot topic in the US. Gun violence, should there be more prohibitions, and a whole side of it, of American population, they don't want the government, they don't want to touch that law. They want to be able to buy guns off the shelf and have 15 AK whatever in the house if they want, and that's their right to protect the people. I have a good, I think he's a really holy man, who is on that. He says he absolutely is going to fight for the right to have guns, because should someone attack his family, he is not holding back. And I consider him a holy man, but he is not holding back. He wants to have the equipment at hand, and he already big like a tree. Massive guy. He says, no, he wants to have his guns. Don't touch the guns. Okay. We only hear about the gun violence in schools when it's an extremely terrible one. Only when the most terrible ones, those are the ones we hear about. But it's like every day in the US of A, schools are under attack with gun violence almost every day. We only hear about the worst cases. I think it was Virginia. I remember being in the patio launch waiting for our next connecting flight, and it came over the TV. And I just got transported into this story, looking, and the bodies coming out. Next thing you know, I almost missed my flight. An hour or two passed. I was just glued to the television. This is real. This is real. And I remember the body count that day was, I don't know what it was, certainly more than 10. So we are getting, and this is part of the poison. It becomes normal. We no longer bat an eyelid to hear about an invasion of a gunman in a school and kill some teachers, and it no longer upsets us. We are dehumanized. When things that are supposed to affect us, we are now numb to violence and the impact of violence. We are getting numb. That is dehumanizing. In other words, we are becoming less and less quality human beings when we're no longer sensitive to things that we're supposed to feel for and feel about. It is dehumanizing to us, where because of the regularity, it becomes so normal and we lose sensitivity to the evil. It no longer hurts us. It no longer touches us. We can even make jokes about it. Another sign of that culture of death is the rise in things like suicide and self-harming. Again, we don't talk about it. The social workers know about it, the therapists, the counselors know about it. How many children are cutting themselves? People who are spiritual, people in my line of work, know that there's a spirit of suicide. There's a spirit of suicide. There's a demon that controls every sin, every form of evil. And there's a demon controlling each one. And there's a demon of suicide. You know, I have attended one or two little courses and read certain stuff about this whole area because we all, as a priest, I regularly, I get those calls. I have little children to counsel. Recently, as a few days ago, at least he told mommy, you know, he thinks about killing himself. And she spoke to him a little bit, and then she thought she should get him to a professional, somebody who knows a little bit. And she called, and I had them speak to one of my most senior, most respected counselors. And it's all about little people living amidst big people. And the big people, for them, it's normal to talk words of hate and really, really heart-wrenching things, but it becomes normal for big people to talk like that. But little people don't know that big people talk this way and it's just talk. Little people don't know it's just talk. You're talking about a guy, leave your son, go and look for your next man, da. You know, and that is normal, big people fighting, but the little people hearing everything, they don't know that it's talk. For them, daddy ready going to leave. Their whole world shaking. Because you're not censoring what you say and what you don't say in front of little people. They don't have that maturity to understand these big people games. They don't know that. So suicidal thoughts is not by accident. My line of work, the exorcism work in particular, we know there's a spirit, there's a demon of suicide. If you want to go into that a little detail, we might come back to that. So, but the rise in this, how does it become okay to be thinking thoughts of hurting yourself, wishing to die, helping people kill themselves? How is that a big professional people study to get medical degrees to become surgeons and so on, and you helping people kill themselves? You know? Why do you get into a line of work to create viruses that would kill people? How does that become something? Is that the culture of life or the culture of death? Clearly the culture of death. And that's what we are about today. The whole area of crimes against children. It used to be that all adults took care of children. It used to be, as adults, we all had this sensitivity to the preciousness, the treasure that is every child. I often give the example of when I was growing up, right, Prince Albert Street here, as a youngster, on a Sunday by 11:30, definitely 12, it was like a ghost town in San Fernando. Not a car was on the road. Nothing happened on Sunday by midday. Once the market finished, nothing happened. Except every so often, there's this particular man would be coming down our hill drunk. So he started it up on the hill and obscene language would be in routine. But I know for me, because I was outside plenty, from the time he saw me as a child, even the obscene language would stop. Even in his drunken state, a drunk man had respect for a child. A drunk man had respect for a child. And that was the norm. That was the norm. You know. So, you know, where has that gone? Now we engage in children. Big people are cursing little children. You know, big people are cursing little children, using obscene language against little children. You know, that's where we are. So crimes against children, just damaging their innocent little minds, damaging them in ways that cannot be erased, can't be erased. Look at the situation of human trafficking. Sometimes when I have to talk about things like pornography and so on. I said, you know, every time you subscribe, every time you consume pornography, you are sponsoring human trafficking. You are making that industry thrive and profitable, because a lot of times the persons in those porn things are children, young people abducted from one country, brought up, living in a little box somewhere in a little room nobody knows, and brought out to make movies like that. You are sponsoring human trafficking with that porn industry. People don't think behind the obvious, behind what is face value. You know, why is that happening? Because this is profitable and the quality of people's lives doesn't matter. Life has become cheapened. Life has become cheap. Once it's not your sister or your daughter, somebody else, no matter. So the cheapness of life, that part is not new. This particular point is not new, because we have all the holy wars and the crusades and the whole Old Testament about coming into the promised land is kill out everybody you meet. Dog and cat alike, all crops. Don't take anything, no booty. That is what we read there in the Bible. That's what we read. So that part about the cheapness of human life is not new. It's not new. But we had gone past that, and now we are kind of reverting in a different form. Or in different forms. What did Hitler do? He had all these genetic experiments. One of those, I don't know if it's Schindler's List or one of those movies about the whole Holocaust. A man on the witness stand there, and he was saying, a survivor, he was saying something like, thank God he already had his children, because he was so mutilated his genitals in their experiments. They did all kinds of things with him. So they were trying to create this super being, right? And they certainly didn't want people black, brown, or anything around that. You know, they had this fixed idea. And they were doing genetic experiments on people, you know, all towards a certain end. To go back to how the numbers, human beings didn't matter. King Leopold is responsible for the death of the murder of about 17 million?
I think there's 12 to 17 million.
I think my figure was 17.
Okay.
And then the African slavery itself, they have no clue. The guesses go from 10 million to 100 million.
Correct.
They really don't know. But when they say some figures, I am hearing more and more 10 million, I say that cannot be true. Because if the British slave traders collected insurance for 2 million that they killed, 2 million they threw overboard to collect insurance money. That's only the British. And that's who they threw overboard. How many actually landed and became slaves on plantations somewhere? How many? It mightn't be, let's say it's not more than 2 million. Let's say it's the next 2 million. That's 4 million just with the British. But they're only one of about 9 colonial European powers who engage in that activity. So you have to be multiplying this by a certain number. So there's no way, way down at 10 million, there's no way. So the atrocities concerning the human being means that we are in a culture of death. And the forms of death today is what is so frightful, because the forms are becoming very, very sophisticated, so that you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it. Okay, takes for instance the abortion mentality of the world. The world is absolutely, in terms of morals, on its head, upside down, because one of the criteria for being considered or branded a first world country is you must have legalized abortion. So you must come to the place where you and your citizens, government and your citizens, agree that forbidding people who have been conceived, who have started their life in the womb, forbidding them to come here to have a life on planet Earth, that is what a civilized first world country does.
Serious?
Yes, you have to have legalized abortion. That's one of the criteria.
To get their money?
No, to become a first world country. Barbados is first world. Barbados is it's a first world country.
So why did...
Check yourself. Barbados is a first world country.
So why did 45, 47 say we are S countries? He ain't getting memo, so...
You don't read too much,
Okay. So Barbados is the first world,
That Barbados is first world. Why? They have all the criteria. They have legalized abortion. They have gay marriages.
What?
That's a criteria too.
To be?
Yeah. That's what civilized people do.
When this was written?
That is the first world that we're supposed to be trying to aim to be.
No, so when did these convenience of these meetings happen? When did our people go out there to sign these?
No, we trying to get there,
So we're not first?
No, thank God we're not first.
Oh, yeah. Whew.
We still in the back.
Don't say it like that.
We third world.
We third world?
Yeah, trying to skip second to get first.
So how many first world
envious of Barbados.
How many first world countries are in the Caribbean?
Only Barbados.
And in the hemisphere?
They press all the right buttons. And
in the hemisphere?
But hemisphere will be, of course, Canada, USA.
All right.
And I don't really think much more.
Barbados?
Barbados.
You serious?
Barbados. And they have been so for a while now.
How long have they been first world?
I would say 10 years. That's a guess, but it's not recent at all.
So what they do? They give you a prize?
No.
A meeting?
You have status. You have a voice.
Oh.
You have status. You are recognized as being civilized, as developed, as the best of the race, as having great politics, etc., etc.
Hey, 652-4901. That's 652-4901. If you have anybody from Barbados listening, you can call us up. 786-292-2789 or 766-4920.
So when Trinis want to have safe abortions, it's Barbados to go.
Serious?
In vitro fertilization, safe, Barbados to go.
First world?
Yeah, because they have the experience. They've been doing it a long time.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah. I just use a phrase that is so frightfully true, because it is used as I use it now, a safe abortion. Who it's safe for? It's not safe for the child. It's not safe for the child. It's not safe for the child.
Wow.
But we talk about safe abortions. I just talked about safe abortion because that is like the term. Right. So nobody not calling me today. I'm going to stay quiet.
Oh yeah, 652-4901.
I'm going to stay quiet.
786. No. You come
No,
on
I'm
there.
gonna stay
You
quiet,
come on
man.
there like
I'm
a
gonna stay
pace
quiet.
bowler.
The South Oropuch LCHH presents Food for the Journey, hosted by Father Dwight Merrick and friends. Every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m., get insight into the four ministries of Jesus Christ, preaching, teaching, healing, and deliverance, with dynamic topics for life-changing discussion, with special attention paid to men. Join the conversation or call in for prayer. Food for the Journey, live on all WAC platforms. Food for the Journey. Food for the Journey. Food for the Journey.
Come to Jesus, Jesus come for what?
And of course, we are back, and we'd like to invite you guys to call us up 652-4901. That's 652-4901. Toll free 786 786-292-2789. That's 786-292-2789. And of course, via WhatsApp, it's free, 766-4920. That's 766-4920.
Okay. So yes, hot topic, abortion. To be civilized, first world, progressive, developed, you have to have legalized abortion. Our government, the region, but we are one of the bigger islands and territories of the region. So we are a prime target. Our governments for many years now, at least 30 years now, are always constant attack, lobbying behind the scenes, pressures to do that.
Okay.
We have a group in the Catholic Church, a community who made that their project. And sometimes it costs them $40,000 to put on a candlelight procession around the savannah and build a stage and have a little thing, all against this push for legalizing abortion. Why? Because unless people walk and they see numbers of people who are against it, the government is going to be pushed to a point where they say, well, like the people want it. So that's why you have to spend money and find money, and they were always in debt. Every time they did these things, they would be in serious debt. Even the church per se was not footing the bill. There's a group of people, a little community of serious Catholic Christians, feel that this is an important cause, and they would organize and organize and organize. You know, just and beg people to come out with your numbers, because the government needs to see there are number of people who don't want this. But if you stop having those processions, it's easy to say, you know why? Because those on the other side, they are very vocal, they're very loud, and they have all the money. They will put page upon page in that paper. You swear the whole of Trinidad want abortion. They are financed very heavily. They run their business very well. Very well. And a lot of us, it's like our elections, where a lot of people don't go and say, well, yeah, them go in, whoever they want to win. They go in, they need my vote. And everybody's still thinking somebody else will do it. Right, and nobody will do it. You know, it's the same kind of thing goes on. Right? Sometimes very, very bad laws get passed because good people said nothing. Good people did not stand up, did not show up.
Good people said nothing.
You know? Right. So,
before he gets in, of course, we'd like to encourage you guys to call. I know a lot of people listen, but we have a lot of vocal people here too, so it'll be good to start the energy. 652-4901. It's as easy as that, 652-4901, or 786-292-2789, or on the WhatsApp, 766-4920.
So I want to give you a little topic to think about for a little later.
Yeah, just now.
The topic is this.
Hold the line. Have a call.
Okay, come through. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good evening. Good evening, Father Merrick and Tony P.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Tony P.
Good evening to you, sir.
I'm not a very vocal person, but since you are requesting that we call in, I say let me do that.
Thank you.
I really and truly enjoy your program. I look forward to it every week. And this is another one that I was hoping that I would have been around to listen to, and I'm glad I am. I'm here right now. So,
thank you.
Welcome, and I'm listening.
You're listening. Okay.
Thank you.
So the topic I want to put to our people is this. Where are you seeing the culture of death? Because it's mostly hidden and disguised. Where in your neck of woods, where in your job, where are you seeing the culture of death? Meaning habits, attitudes, things that are being promoted, that are becoming normal, but they're not in the service of love and the best of humanity. They're not in the service of the best of who we can be.
Yeah, one for you. Let's say it and come to Mike.
Let me hear you.
The blockbuster movies, man.
The blockbuster movies.
The movies, I've always seen. This is just me. I may be wrong. I've always seen it was okay to kill off Indians. It was okay to kill this one. The Gatling gun spraying down these savages. And to a point that you end up clapping too. Yeah, man, shoot them down. And it even go further to when you see Arnold.
And who's the good boys, the good guys and the bad guys?
Yes, and when it go further to Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo and these guys, big guns in the bush and it's death, and that's a good death, And the movies have really done that. And I watched movie like John Wick in recent time, and his whole persona in that movie is to kill people. That's the movie. And when you check the amount he made on that movie, 1.7 billion, that means there are people who liked it and looked at it. So for me,
We have an appetite. We
Yes.
now have an appetite for
Yes.
the violent
Yes, sir.
and for blood.
yes, sir.
We have an appetite. It has created in us an appetite for death. And the more shocking and gruesome the death, the better.
Sense.
The mutilations and the blood popping and the worse it looks, the better. We have that has been created in us. Movie industry has created that in us. One of my mentors, Father Theodore, there was some years ago, he sat down and developed a talk, and he was giving this talk everywhere. And the name of the talk was God is Beauty. God is beautiful. And basically said everything that is genuinely beautiful reflects God. And sin is ugly. Sin is ugly. It's ugliness. What is not good for us is ugly. But God and the things of God is beautiful. So that's a little bit, just a teaser on how that abortion mentality is so normal now. It's so normal. And sometimes I once or twice I've heard testimonies of women who were nurses with an abortion doctor, a doctor who did, abortion after abortion. Like people come into his office, except he doing abortion for office, person after person. And when this woman converted, and she talked about it's like she was in her days for all those years, and when she remembered what they did. How many, this is so deep, how many people understand that one big neighbor to the north, I'm not calling name, they once upon a time, for a short period of time, had as legal, they could do it legally, partial birth abortion, what they called it, procedure. Let's call it procedure. I'm not sure what the last word is, but it begins partial birth abortion. And what it was, it became law that if a woman is in really advanced term, close to 9 months and so on, and then decides she doesn't want the child, and it's dangerous to have an abortion at that stage, it's dangerous to her life. It became law, it became okay. You go to full term. When you go into labor, they will insert some kind of calipers. They will crush the head of the child. They will suck. Yeah, you need to know. You know why? If it is normal to do, we have to at least hear it. It can't be okay to do and we can't hear it. And then you siphon out all the brain tissue, and then you withdraw the mangled body with a crushed skull. And that is what civilized human beings put into law as okay. It lasted a few years, and then there was a change in the government in that country, and the new person then outlawed it. But it was okay in the law for a few years, a short time. Partial birth abortion procedure. My word is procedure. I can't remember the word they used. Yeah, and this is also something, what you do, squirming there, you're holding your head and shaking. How is it okay to do atrocities, but we mustn't talk about it? Something wrong with that. Something wrong with that. Because even to speak it, we hear how horrendous it is. It should be more horrendous to do it.
True.
It should be, but it's normal. It's normal. There are people who get arrested on a regular basis. Well, I'll say Catholics, but it's Catholics. Because they go and they pray the rosary around abortion clinics in countries in the north, right? They go and they pray the rosary. And every so often, the police would come and haul one or two of them, one like a priest or a nun, and they spend a few days in jail. That is okay. They're doing that. But very often, what happens is a person on their way to the clinic to have an abortion, they would ask them for 5 minutes. Can you give me just 5 minutes? Please, just 5 minutes. And they know what they're about. But see, sometimes these people are already walking to the clinic, but they're not 100% convinced that they really want to do this. Right. They're 95 or they're 85. So they have a little piece of them open to hear something else. And if they're given that 5 minutes, what these people do, they set up a little booth pretty close. They just walk them across and they give them an ultrasound where they could see, and they see their little baby moving and hands and feet, and they break down in tears because they cannot convince themselves it is not a baby, because the science tells them it's just flesh. Hello, welcome.
Evening, Father. Evening, Master Tony. Father, I listen to you, and when you say we have become a culture of
death,
we have to remember the power of the tongue, and the power that is what people in authority were saying. They sleep with the devil to get whatever. Blood will flow like water. So God has put them in that position now to see if they could control it. And you know what happened? Is that blood is flowing, because that is what you had asked for.
Kinda. But this culture of death is what John Paul, he in his examination was going on, he assessed that so much of what we're doing is promoting death. So he's describing, he's not promoting it, he's describing what we have now as a culture of death.
No, I think Shibola Agugli, but I'll come off and I'll tell you where that conversation.
She's saying if I say the way I say it is almost like you're promoting.
No, not you. Not you. It's not about you.
Okay.
It's higher, wider than that. I'll tell you in a bit.
Okay, right. Okay, I think I got you when I saw the example. I remember the example she gave.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Power the tongue. Okay. Yes. Point taken. Yes. So, where was I here?
Death. Power.
Yes. So look at the kinds of atrocities. So they would take, can they have 5 minutes, take her across, put her under the machine, and when that woman sees that little baby with hands and feet and ears and everything, from 5 months a baby could be born and live, from 5 months. When they see their little child, they just break down, because up to that point in time, they were being told it's just a little piece of flesh. It's not a person yet. And to be ridiculous, I will ask, okay, even if it were a piece of flesh, if you don't interfere with the flesh, what will be born after 9 months? A human being? Surprise. No, I can't cook. But let's say I have a one pot going on, right? If nobody came and put anything in my pot, when my pot finished, however it tastes is my responsibility, right? Whatever I put in there at the start, bam, is what I'll get out of it. Well, the same thing with conception. After conception, nothing else is added to that fetus. So at conception, if no other ingredient was added, and after 9 months, this conception, it emerges as a human being, well, it had to be a human being at conception because no other ingredient was added. That makes sense to you? Nothing else was added after conception.
Right.
So if at conception you don't interfere, no additional elements, and after 9 months, surprise, a human being, then it had to be a human being back there, just looking different, looking smaller. Right. Why is that not logical to so many people who want to promote abortion? Because they tell me it's just a little piece of flesh, not a human being. So why doesn't it emerge as a dog, or a leaf, or a plant? Why doesn't it emerge to be something else? Whatever it was at conception is what it results after 9 months. No other added ingredients. Okay, so let me get on here. So that's the abortion atrocity that is now criteria to be a first world country. You understand why this world in a mess? Everything upside down. Then I'll go to another one, a sister to the abortion mentality, the contraception mentality. Here too, here too there is so much dishonesty. Dishonesty. When HIV, I don't think they call it a pandemic in those days, early 80s, what they called it? They call it a HIV epidemic.
Yeah,
They call it an epidemic.
Yeah.
When HIV epidemic hit, well, first they blame Africa. They blame black people. African consorting with monkeys or something or the other, wherever they say, but it was Africa to blame. And Africa alone had HIV going on. So they had to help Africa. So how did they help Africa? They flooded Africa with condoms. Condoms is supposed to be the solution to the non-transferring of the HIV virus. Okay. That is still actually so basically. That is still basically the what is being spoken and what is being taught. Condoms is the solution to becoming pregnant, and it's the solution for to prevent the transmission of HIV and some other viruses. Not all, some. Okay. So I have a session with young people next month. Presentation College on the 18th of October. You could send your youngsters, free of charge. And the introduction is going to be this. I'm just going to ask them, because they all have gadgets, or if you share with your friend, to research a few things right now with your little device. What is the size of the natural pores of latex rubber? Right? So all materials, they look like a solid, that concrete looking solid. But if you have enough microscope, you could see air going through that. It don't need look solid. Right? The latex rubber is the substance that they make condoms out of. Look solid, put out under a microscope and you'll see the pores. What is the size of those pores? Write it down. What is the size of the HIV virus? The HIV virus. What's the size of that? Write that down. What's the size of the human sperm? Write that down. And now we're going to do some comparisons. Is the size of the pore of latex rubber larger than the size of the human sperm? Yes. In other words, human sperm can go right through that condom. A properly working condom, it didn't get no tear or nothing. Properly working condom, used correctly, the human sperm is smaller than the pores. In other words, the condom could never, no brand of condom would ever put a guarantee on the condom, guaranteed to prevent pregnancy. Not one of them will do that, because scientifically that is not true. And the producers all know it. The condom cannot guarantee that pregnancy would not happen, because the sperm is smaller than those pores. All those people, young and not so young, using condoms, say they're practicing safe sex. Who told them that's safe sex? That's not safe. What is safe about that? It is not. It cannot be guaranteed. No condom has a guarantee on it. None. I taught this to a class once a few years ago, and a young man, these young people IT, and he pulled up the 6 favorite brands of condoms, and he looked at it. Not one of them have a guarantee anywhere on it, because they know they could be taken to court. Not one of them have a guarantee, because they know that the size of that pore in latex rubber, the sperm can go right through. Lots of young people and not so young people, when they get pregnant, they look at each other. How that happen? How that happen? Because you didn't check the facts. You assume The talk that you hear is true, and it is not true. You assume what everybody say, they say, them say, he say, she say, I hear people say. You assume it is true. So my young people are going to pull out their phone and check the information themselves to make matters worse. Where the sperm can pass, the HIV virus is 50 times smaller than the human sperm. 50 HIV viruses could pass where one sperm can pass, and the sperm can pass right through the latex rubber of the condom. So when they flooded Africa with condoms, it was never to prevent the spread of AIDS, it was to escalate it. It was to speed up the spread of AIDS, because the scientists behind that know the facts. You ask me if our court closed?
Well, apparently, I just shaking my head here. This is food for the journey with Father Dwight Merrick.
It's like food for thought now.
I don't want the Gates Foundation calling me.
I didn't call that my name,
Neither me. A swinging thing. I see a welder. Nice from the Gates Foundation.
Okay.
652-4901. That's 652-4901. 786-292-2789. That's 786-292-2789. And 766-4920. Looking forward beyond the home stretch 15 minutes to go. So we look forward to one or two of your calls.
So as I wait, I'm doing this session with the young people. That is their demonstration before I give them other things to research. Because education now is in their hands. It's not a teacher. I am the one with the know, and I'm teaching you because you're ignorant. It's not so. They have devices, point them in the right direction, they will find out everything they need to find out. That's what I'm doing with them, right? Because they cannot trust the adult world they're in to give them right information. We are not, as adults, we are not trustworthy. Collectively, we are not trustworthy. Think of the lies that were perpetrated on the whole world concerning the vaccination recently. Think of the level of deception that was pushed on the whole world from the world authorities. And nothing has come of it. Nothing has come. Those young people cannot trust big people. We are not trustworthy collectively.
Why nothing has come of it? Because if in the face of all this knowledge, this new knowledge, information, why isn't there total uproar?
Well, a team of scientists, about 21 I think of them, had a joint action against one of the condom producers. This happened in the States. And they got judgment against the condom producer. But in the judgment, what was said, if I remember roughly correctly, is that the company has to hand over the notes of all the testing and everything, right? But they handed over 10 pages every month or some foolishness like that. So it will take 75 years to get the whole report. But even the first set of pages, it was already saying how many deaths occurred in the trials when they publicized no deaths.
So is that big pharma, or is that a general conspiracy and stuff?
I don't know if it's a farmer or agriculturist. I don't know. But I am just saying. I am just saying. And then put that now next to South Africa scientists who came up with their own vaccine that they tried, it worked, and they sent it up to WHO, not only for approval, but for funding that they could mass produce it. They never get a response, much less an acknowledgement. It was assumed they know what they're doing, but we're not interested in earlier. We know who we're dealing with. They never even acknowledged and responded to the scientists in South Africa who came up with their own thing. That's why Cuba do their own thing, China do their own thing, India do their own thing with the same ivermectin, they back talk, and save millions and millions of lives in India. Because they didn't take on these people. But we were all hoodwinked into a blind faith that we must follow. We must follow these people. We are nobodies. We must follow them. And in a sense, we couldn't do better because we don't have anything of that level, that status, to be able to test ourselves. Even the I-95, there's a British scientist who, not a medical doctor, but something like that. And I used to follow his shows, right? His YouTubes. And at the end of the whole thing, he was so angry. He said these foolish things, they had us wearing these things, and this thing doesn't work. This thing couldn't prevent. He was so angry because he, on the inside, and he too, was assuming that what is being said was true, that these masks really protect, and they don't. Okay.
Yeah, some people are just, a lot of people are on board. Thank you for being on the line with us, ladies and gentlemen. Some of them are sending their comments. So I can catch some. We have Francis. Of course, Angela said, hey, Tony is going to explain because we do.
Yes, I got it, Angela.
Right?
I got it.
The court closed and we had to keep the hills have eyes. The hills have eyes and ears now. They didn't have it a couple of years ago, but they have it now. Ingrid, Francis, Angela, Marcia, Estina, Roy. One is saying why? Because they wouldn't make the money for the big farmer that you didn't know about, that Nappy sing about farmers, and because it seems to know exactly what. Right. Okay. So we leave it at that.
Right. So we're going on off because of this contraceptive thing. What is the real purpose of contraceptives? It is people trying to separate the pleasure of sex from the responsibility of sex, which is pregnancy and childbirth. They're trying to separate the two. They want to have the pleasure without the responsibility. Okay, that's what they want to do. So the so-called first world has gone contraceptive. And they didn't think that when they contracept so much and decide to have one or none children, that by virtue of maths, women are supposed to have on average 2.2 children for a population to replace itself. Child-producing women are supposed to have an average of 2.2, it's a mathematical thing, 2.2 children for self-replacement of a population. So when these women decide, these families, these couples decide they want to have one child or no child at all, they did not figure that eventually their populations are going to be shrinking. And now in a lot of European countries, they do not have sufficient young people to be the workforce. And if you don't have enough young people as a workforce, who is going to take care of the elderly? So that's why they're not holy and generous and thoughtful to invite other people from the rest of the world, especially Africa and India, to come across. They need a workforce. They're not doing it out of the goodness that they had. They don't have the workforce they need. So they have to bring people from abroad. Not that they want to or they like it. They have to. So all the Africans flooding Europe, all the Indians that have flooded England is not because they wanted these people here. They have no choice.
What do they call that? A brain drain, a culture drain? Because I know we have ourselves experienced that in the West Indies.
Yeah.
At some point in time, with Kitchener and them going up on these boats, the windjammers, to England, and was a whole big thing. So that is what you're saying, that it was part of that?
No, what is happening? No, that was not existing then.
Okay.
Contraceptive mentality. Contraceptives is a recent thing.
Okay.
All right. The so-called pill
Yes.
is only like in the 30s, I think they invented that. All right. Kitchen, they were much earlier, well around that time, yes. But that wasn't the idea at all. But the flooding of Europe with contraceptives and different brands. Another aspect and this is particular to us black people. There, I can't give you the details, but I read the report. The IUD tube, the IUD is a form of contraception, an insertion into a woman's body, right, to prevent pregnancy. Some women were infected and so on, badly damaged because of this. One or more of them went to court in England, and they won. And the courts went as far as to say, this product has to be removed from the shelves. But $1 billion done spent on that, making, mass producing this thing. Did they dump it? No. What do you think happened to it? They donated it to third world countries like us. So it's not safe for the British citizen, the British woman, but it's okay for little black people down here, third world countries. So when we get in all these gifts, we need to be checking what exactly are we getting, because sometimes we are a dumping ground. So what was not safe for their people is okay for us. So the contraceptive industry has gone so far that European countries, by and large, are shrinking populations because they're not having sufficient children. And that's the fundamental reason why they are taking in people from other places.
So it hasn't worked. The genocides of the melanated people, it hasn't worked then, because it come back to bite them.
No, but that is why you have the Bill and Jill Foundation in parts of Africa where proper health personnel cannot get to remote areas, but they are getting to those areas to distribute different forms of contraceptive. Insertions, again, in the woman's body. And the theory is it can be removed. The point is they are not coming back there to remove it. And you can't remove it yourself. That's removed surgically. Right? So there's this big project of flooding Africa with contraceptives as fast as possible. Why? Because they are scared the 1.4 billion citizens of the continent of Africa can swell when Europe is shrinking, China is stabilizing, India is still a little good. India has overtaken China now, I believe. I think they are all three like 1.4 billion. But the loss of probability, if this continues happening and the Caucasian race is shrinking, the African population is expanding, China and India kind of stable. At some point in time, the big masses of black people are going to say enough is sufficient. The minority of whites are not going to be able to control the world the way they are now.
Okay, so just for some who might be listening and hearing that and want to get a sense of energy, can you break it down for us? Because I know you're a well-learned man, you have these figures. In terms of the world population, is about what number?
Just over 8 billion.
Right. So if you say
you have about 1.4
can you give
Indians?
us a checklist of the in terms of the numbers as you are doing
just
now?
a few big ones.
All right, go ahead.
India is 1.4 billion.
All right,
China is about 1.4
so
billion.
that's what,
and the whole of Africa.
So like 3 billion there, we could say, right?
3, no, another 4.2.
1.2.
1.4 by 3.
That is what?
4.2. That's 4.2 right there.
That's between India,
China, and the African continent.
Are we checking the Africans out of the diaspora?
No, just on the continent.
On the continent.
That's
Because
on the continent.
outside of the continent, with how much you say over 100, because Brazil alone have about...
Well, you have to count the whole population, because you're the whole population of people, right?
Right.
So US is about 340 million.
Right. Europe.
Who else? I did Europe.
No, we didn't call Europe. We call
Europe
Africa,
is
India, China.
Europe is less than 1.4 billion. It's less than Africa altogether.
Right.
Europe is, I can't remember how much less. It might be like 1 billion. I don't think it's very close to Africa.
So we at about
5.4 there,
5.4
out of the 8.
Right.
Yeah.
With the other 2.6
I don't
billion
know. All the other 190 countries of the world make up the big. But the bigger ones would be Brazil. It's pretty big.
Right.
They're not as big as America. America is 340. Brazil had to be 200 something million.
With a majority population of
Blacks,
over 90
yeah.
million, I think they were saying now.
Who's that?
Brazil.
Nigeria is like, they never know exactly how much Nigerians are. Nigeria is about 140 million. But that's a guess. They never really know. They don't have good stats, right?
Okay.
Those are the bigger ones. There must be somebody big I'm forgetting.
What were these Amerindians and these people from Mesoamerica, as they try to put it.
When you say the U.S. population, that's everybody. It's 340.
Them is Meslo, the counting.
Everybody.
What were the Amerindis and the Australians?
So, right, down Australia, I don't have a figure. I never came across a figure for Australia. But the point is, the fear is the black population of the world is increasing their population. And Caucasians.
So after all the shoot down, after slavery, after all the genocide, after all the things you're talking about, the what foundation and this foundation, more come, according to the song. The more you kill, the more come.
And after all the castration that the Arabs do, they still, well, they're not in Egypt per se,
right?
African here, I think not in Egypt,
right,
but everywhere else.
Right.
They're everywhere else on the African continent.
So more come.
So they are really, really scared about that. They're really scared about that. That how can they stop the African populations on the African continent from continuing to expand? How can they stop it? They really desperately want to stop it. And they're trying every kind of thing.
But I mean, slavery was one of the greatest things that they would have done to short-circuit it. So you were saying that after all these years, they can still be overtaken by the minorities? The minorities will become the majority in the next 30, 40, 50 years?
That have maths that could project these things and show you where they'll catch up and things, but I don't have that. At least not in my head.
All right. Anyway.
But that's the big fear, okay?
Yeah.
So friends, we are in a culture of death. Let's open our eyes and start identifying, is this of life or is this of death? You know? Is this life-giving or is this more about death? Is this positive for human beings, for the quality of human life or not? You know, just to life or death. Is this life? Is this death? And we will see how much of what goes on and what is acceptable, what is promoted in the world today is about death. Pray God, save us from ourselves. Amen.
The South Oropouche RCCH presents Food for the Journey, hosted by Father Dwight Merrick and friends. Every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m., get insight into the four ministries of Jesus Christ, preaching, teaching, healing, and deliverance, with dynamic topics for life-changing discussion with special attention paid to men. Join the conversation or call in for prayer. Food for the Journey, live on all WAC platforms. Food for the Journey. Food for the Journey. Food for the Journey.
Come to Jesus, Jesus come for one, He come for all. Come to Jesus.